you're an educator and you're struggling with the thought of retiring comfortably while depending solely on your pension, you're not alone. Many teachers discover too late that their retirement income won't cover their unexpected expenses, let alone it won't cover their dreams. But don't worry. Today, we're going to break down the steps to bridge that gap so you can retire with confidence. Tune in to this exciting first episode of Educators Financial Foresight Weekly. Teachers, you give so much every day. You're shaping lives and you're inspiring the future. But when it comes to your retirement, the path forward can feel uncertain. If you're an educator juggling demands, busy schedules, and financial stress, you are not alone. Many teachers worry about outliving their savings, or managing their pension, or ensuring long-term care without burdening their family. With pensions often alone falling short, many educators struggle to bridge the gap between what they need and what they have for a secure retirement. That's where Educators Financial Foresight Weekly comes in. Each week, I'll guide you through clear, actionable steps to understand your pension and spot hidden gaps, build retirement income strategy tailored to your needs, protect your savings from inflation and unexpected costs, and plan for long-term care and estate needs without burdening your loved ones. Your career has been about making a difference. Tune in every Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern on YouTube and LinkedIn. Let's build a retirement as rewarding as your career. Hey educators, welcome to this week's edition of the Educators Financial Foresight Weekly, your step-by-step guide to financial peace of mind. Today we're asking the question, what would happen if next month you went to the bank and saw your paycheck was down 40%? Welcome to the show. My name is Debbie Major, and I'm a holistic financial planner located physically in Northeast Ohio. I have a background of both education in public and private schools before becoming a financial planner. So my heart is with making sure that teachers and educators have a secure financial future. If that relates to you, please hit the subscribe button and share with your friends. Imagine you're having a dream. It's a dream of you in the future. You're traveling where you want to go. You're hanging out with your favorite people all the time. Maybe you're visiting the Grand Canyon for the first time or taking a trip all the way across the United States. Maybe you're visiting your favorite country or from where you're from and you haven't seen it before. Maybe you're just hanging out with grandchildren and children and enjoying the company that you have with them. Maybe you're playing pickleball or other sports and traveling around being able to do that and be active. Maybe you're hiking outside and doing that. Whatever you're doing, you're dreaming and you're enjoying it. You're just living that life of being in your future, the future you want to do. Well, the alarm goes off. You open up your eyes and voila, you are in the future. You get so excited, you're like, yes, I'm going to write down exactly what I'm going to do and where I'm going to go and all these things I dreamed about and all these things I thought about. And I am so excited that now it is finally here. You write it all down. It's all great. Then you say, okay, I'm ready to go. Let me see what I've got in my bank account. You go and you open up your app and you look at it and you say, oh no, this is only a fraction of what I had. I'm used to getting 40% more than what I've got right now. What am I going to do? So that's the reality when you live with your pension. So you can see it is really important to know what that number is going to be that's going to come to you guaranteed for the rest of your life. So how do we figure it out? Well, I work with educators in multiple states, and each state has a little bit different way that they play with the numbers to make it work so you can figure out what you're going to get. But they all have the same components. The first component is going to be your final average salary. That's going to be the average of your top years of teaching. I see it as small as 2 years in Georgia and as many as 5 years average in Ohio. So it's a range of those top. That'll be the top years of your life. That's the FAS, final average salary. The second thing is to know what your service credit is. Service credit is going to be, for most people, the amount of years that you work in the system and pay into the system. So whether you work 30 years, 20 years, 17 years, 35 years, that's going to be your service credit years. SC, I use for service credit. The third thing is what I call the multiplying factor. That's going to be whatever they're going to take and your salary, and they're going to multiply it by, so they can figure out how much they're going to pay you. So I have seen that as low as 1.85 in North Carolina, 2.2% in a lot of other states. So you want to look at what it is. But the average is around 2%, so it's just around 2%. So if you just want to get a rough idea and you don't feel like going and looking at your state's website, you can think, well, I'm going to take the top 3 years to be safe. So I'm going to take my top 3 years of highest salary that I expect that I'm going to make. How many years do I want to work my service credit? And then I'm going to ask and see what the multiplying factor is. And if you don't want to look, use 2% because you'll be close. If you've got several years, lots of years on your time horizon before you're going to decide to retire, that's going to get you a good place there right now. Regulations change and states decide themselves, and they change their rules quite often. So chances are, if you have a long way to go before retirement, the formula probably will change a little bit, but it won't change enough that you'll not be in the ballpark of where you want to be. So let's look at an example of a specific example of what that pension could look like.
So here's our example. Here's the example of top 3 highest years. That's your final average salary of $73,000, a little bit more. Now we're going to multiply it by our service years. Here's our example of 30 years. We got a little over $2 million there. We're going to use 2.2% as our multiplying factor. So what that means is $48,399 a year, or $4,033 a month will be our top amount. So we've gone down from $6,417 to $4,033 a month. In other words, your paycheck is now down 37%.
So when you retire, you can see that you're going to get somewhere between 60 and 80% of your paycheck. In some states, it's even as low as 50% of your paycheck. And that's including if you're totally vested. When vesting means how many years you need to put in to the system to be able to get that full credit. Most places, it's 10 years. So you got to work 10 years. When you work 10 years, then you will get your full benefit. You're entitled to an unreduced benefit when you retire later. So even if you left education for a while and you waited until the age that you needed, like 65 or 67, depending on what the formula says or the state says, then you'd be able to get a benefit of some sort then at that time. So that's vesting. That's really important. But now that we know that we're going to get this 60, 50, 70% of our paycheck, what are we going to do? Well, you've got a whole bunch of options, and you've got to decide which option is right for you. The first thing you can do is cut your expenses, right? Cut your expenses to meet your income. That may mean putting things off. That may mean not doing some things. That may be simplifying your life now so that you're ready for retirement. You can also put away money for retirement, and there's lots of choices for that. The choices that are most common that teachers will see and educators will see are 403B plans and 457 plans. The 403B and the 457 are referring to parts of the tax code that allow for educators and nonprofit workers to be able to put away money like a 401k would be in the private sector world. Your money will come out for you at the paycheck level. They'll take it out for you when you set it up, and it'll just come out automatically for you, and it's going to grow for you. And we'll talk about in a different topic. We'll talk all about 403Bs and 457s. You also can do something on your own, like a regular investment account where you just put money in to invest it how you want to. You can do things like buy houses and do rental income and have rental income coming into you. You can also do other investment types of accounts like a Roth IRA or a cash value life insurance. And those have the benefit of the money you put in is going to grow for you, and any money when you take it out that has grown, the interest as well as what you put in, will all be tax-free. So there's different tax consequences, and we will talk about those in upcoming episodes. But the idea here is you need to find a way to make sure that whatever that deficit is, that 40 to 50% that you got to make up, that you have the money for that. Remember, cost of living is going to go up. Whether we've had crazy inflation these last few years, hopefully that is toned down, but we still will have inflation. It may be 3 to 5 years before you get a COLA increase for cost of living increase in your pension payment. So you will need to have extra set of money. Also, remember, we're living longer. Our health is going longer. So you need to make sure that you've got money that you can take care of if an emergency arises, whether it be health, long-term care, whether it even be something like a trip that you need to take, or maybe you need to take care of a spouse. Maybe you need to take care of a parent, because a lot of people have their parents still living when they retire, and they have to help take care of them. So for all those things, those are ways to help you plan to make up for that pension gap, that pension deficit that you need to make up for and plan for while you're still working. So when's the best time to start with your investing and your saving for the future? Well, the time to start is now. Probably was yesterday would be the next better response, but we can't go back. So the best time is now. You can change your investments. You can be riskier to try and get a higher return. You can put more in if you want to put more in. What you can't change is the passage of time that happens over your life. And there is nothing that is going to help you more than time. You can have it could make less money, lower interest rate, but a longer time. So I always suggest start with something at the very beginning and then make it more. And then keep an eye on it and figure out, where is this going? Consult with your advisor. Talk about, well, how much do I really need to have to retire? How much of my paycheck do I want to have replaced? How is this going to play into my spouse's paycheck or my spouse's 401k or anything else that may happen in that regard? So that's really important, is that you figure out starting how and when, and then starting with whatever it is type of investment that you want to start. What is the easiest for you to start is what I would say if you're not doing anything. And if you are doing things, fantastic. I would say then let's look and see what kind of tax diversification you have. But get started today. The other thing I want to mention is that the amount that we talked about to figure your pension out is actually the most amount that you could get. So let's say that amount is $4,000. That's like the top amount. There are things that will make that amount be lower. The one that affects most people is if you are married. If you are married, you're going to want to provide for your spouse. So you're going to have what's called a joint and survivorship pension. Now you can play around with how much you leave them, whether it's 100% or 50%, and look at what your state provides in their pension. But what the effect it will do, no matter what you pick, is it will lower that amount. So if it started at $4,000 a month, you may be down now to, well, depending on your ages, it may be $3,500 a month now that you're going to get guaranteed to come in. So that's going to that will lower your pension amount. So you do want to think about that. The other big thing you want to think about is you do have an option when you go to retire to take a portion of the money out that you put in. It's called a PLOP, P-L-O-P, partial lump sum payment. This is really great for people who maybe didn't get enough saved up and they'd like to have a reserve of money, then maybe can live on the less amount. There's a lot of planning things you can do with being able to plan with that PLOP to be able to make more money as you go through retirement. But in any case, if you decide that that's something you want to look at and do, you need to figure it out with how much it's going to lower that top payment. So again, if now you've got you and your spouse joint and it's at $3,500 now, and now we're going to take out a partial lump sum payment of our whole amount, well, we may be down to $3,000 before we know it per month. That's a big difference. That's a $12,000 difference a year of how much money we're going to receive. So that needs to go in your planning. It's really important that you think about that. because it will come into play. A lot of times people just think of that top number and they think, okay, well, I can do that. I can live on that. That's going to be just fine. And then they realize, oh no, I really need to pick the one that's this. Now what am I going to do? So make sure you think about that and you do that. It's really important. It's also really important that you consult with people, that you go to the workshops that your state puts on to make sure that everything is clear for you and the paperwork you needed and how you're going to retire. It's important that you get advice and help from outside people that know what's going on. Consult a financial professional. Have them go through what it is that you may need to do to make sure you maximize everything you possibly can in your retirement income, and that you just haven't left any stone unturned. It's all things to think about. This is all general information that I have shared with you today. And I hope that it has given you a good place to start and given you an idea of what you can expect and what it's going to be like to live on your pension when you retire, whether it's far away from now or close. If you would like to get a more specific look at how your pension is going to turn out, or what it's going to look like down the road, or how your savings and investments are going to look like with it, and you'd like to talk to me, I'm happy to talk to you. Just schedule a 15-minute call and we will get to know each other a little bit better and see what your goals are and see how things are going to work together and figure out what those numbers